I'm Riccardo Olivier, hearing and speaking as you can see. Man, able. And so it's quite a weird point of view to be an allied for recognition in art sector for disabled artists. It's also quite problematic because I cannot embody what other people feel as deaf people or disabled people. I'm also aware that deaf people usually are not comfortable with being put on the same category of disabled people. ALL IN was supposed to be a European project, Erasmus Plus, in cooperation with 7 countries, and actually we haven't succeeded in the bid, but Bulgarian partners, our office, wanted anyway to go on with a part of it, which is happening right now. Cooperation project usually requires a lot of efforts in order to understand also different contexts where all the partners are working in. It's quite easy for an Italian partner to imagine how difficult it is in Bulgaria, but actually we can really not imagine what is the situation here. So it's much better for cooperation project in general, instead of putting in the others' minds, to listen others' needs. ALL IN takes its name from a project I've led in Italy, which is a professionalization model for disability artists. So it's a project that is not just trying to entertain and make disabled artists have fun with dance, theater, and anything else, but is trying to improve their professionalization. Mainly also looking for disabled teachers, because it's quite important to change the model, which is seeing abled teachers with disabled students. ALL IN Italy, in Bulgaria, and all other countries, is trying to give access to disabled artists, for disabled artists, to career, training, classes, shows, and anything always listed there. Until we will not have also disabled artists on stage and directing shows and presenting their point of views, we will keep on with our medical or charity model. Let's just be clear about what are these models about. It's a UK definition, so it's a British definition, and it's saying that the medical model is putting the focus on what is missing in an ableist model in the person. So, for example, a deaf artist or the artist on a wheelchair is seen as someone who has a problem, so he is, or she, or they is not hearing or cannot walk. So the problem is in his person. The same model is the charity model, so the problem is in the person, but is just activating an idea of, oh, poor him, poor her, we need to help, we need to give money to support there because they are poor, they are really weak. Okay, the superhero model is something also different, but again, is focusing on the person. I mean, you're on a wheelchair or you're deaf, you can do amazing things, like sign language is so beautiful, or oh, the wheelchair can dance so beautifully, so everything is so amazing. But in my perspective, all of these models are within something that we call ableism. So the idea that abled point of view is the right one and the only one. I'd rather work with what is called social model, which is putting the stress on the society. So the famous phrase is about is not you that you are disabled, but is the stairs that is disabling you, and is not you that you're disabled because you're deaf, is the hearing society and spoken society that is disabling you. Also, activism history is so important in how we acknowledge our ableism and our integration of disabled people in art sector. I often say, and everybody gets surprised about that we are not accessible. No one is accessible. And this is really charming. It's not a problem. You're not wrong because you're inaccessible. Because what we really need to avoid is that the able sensitivity get touched. And so, oh, I'm sorry, I'm able, so I'm wrong. This is something that we really don't need. We just need to raise awareness. Let's say that inclusion is something that I am inviting someone who is usually excluded to get in. But I'm still empowering my role of deciding who is in and who is out. And also I'm empowering the perimeter of it. So I'm still saying, if you're good if you get in, because I allow you to get in. But this is the way out the world works. So the paradox of all in is let's say that everybody's in. In this in, we will need to find new perimeters, and not by inclusion, but by non-exclusion. Why are someone not sitting at this table? Why there's no famous deaf woman artist? How can we change the structure, the barriers that stop someone to be in? The only way I have found it out is that I do a step back. And when I need to intervene, I ask permission. Going back to the list, access to, it's so important that we free the careers, the show careers, to the ableist barriers, which means that we let disabled, and in this case deaf, artists to be artists. Which of course is problematic, because of course you need to have access to training, to have access to classes, to have access as an audience member to shows and cultural and art events, to enrich your point of view, and access to careers, so to be employed. But the point for me is always the same. Who is sitting at the table? Who is there in this room? Who is allowed to take part of the process? So if disabled people, let's say if deaf people are not allowed to take part in art processes and the art sector, it will always be a ableist, audist model. Yeah, I've used the word audist, which is the ableism referring to the fact that all the world is also spoken based, and the access is not possible for deaf people. So it's the ableism for deaf people specific, audism. Why we also need deaf people in the art sector, or also disabled people in art sector? Not just to have them at the table, but also to have them as models, as positive models for other people, that they can sympathize and empathize with them and feel they can do what they want, since they have succeeded. That's also why access to self-determination, self-representation and recognition is so important. So we need deaf artists and deaf professional to self-determinate in their career, be the one who asks for what they need instead of us guessing it, and also to be recognized as a successful model. Everything I have learned about deaf community and deaf society and sign language has been because of Festival del Silenzio. Festival del Silenzio was an idea of mine based on a workshop that a friend of mine who is hearing but is signing, now is an interpreter, professional interpreter, they were making a workshop with similar to the one we have delivered 2 years ago, mixing dance and sign language. Festival del Silenzio was probably the first both led hearing and deaf people performing festival in Europe. And actually we have also been recognized for that on a European level. So the great revolution we had is that we just invited a deaf artist as artistic director. I can't not say that that Rita Mazza helped me much more than artistic director. She was not just an artistic director, she was a friend, she was a teacher, she was a guide. Yeah, she still is. We aim for quality and really surprising and stimulating shows. But working together, we realized that what I define quality, Rita was not define quality as the same. And what we define stimulating for a hearing person, Rita was not defining stimulating for a deaf person. So I just realized that we need to pay attention to consider what we usually consider absolute, like quality, like interest, like professionality, that they are not absolute concepts, but they are based on our cultural background and our cultural bias. But please, don't misunderstand me. Don't misunderstand me. This doesn't mean that quality is whatever, that professionalization is whatever, that art is whatever. It's not like that. But we need to acknowledge that art is based on culture. It's not true that rich countries are good in diversity and inclusion policies, or the Western privilege or priority is better. For example, Nikita has attended to a totally accessible deaf professionalizing art school in Moscow. When we meet hearing and deaf people, usually as hearing people, we are used to say, oh, we have done a huge step towards them. The huge step is done by them every day. This is Beyond Science, and I will quickly talk about what is the European project we are inside also today. This project about empowering and professionalizing deaf artists, which Nikita and Daniel are into. And for a show that is for hearing and deaf audience. All the process is led by deaf artists. I don't step in at all. But this is a problematic point of view, because how to empower people with a project that I'm leading. Something I've learned in leading this project, and I already was aware of it before, and we should pay attention to a really tiny difference, but it's important for me. So, for example, in Beyond Science, the artist process is just led by deaf artists. Every time I step in, I am bringing in hearing parameters. I have to trust them that if they will need some help in understanding something or to study, for example, no one of them are a dancer. If they want some support for from a choreography or dance point of view, they will be aware and ask for it. At this point, usually the audience have many reactions telling me how much this is problematic. Thank you for reminding, in general, but I know it's deeply problematic. But for me, it's necessary. This is how I believe. I also recognize that often when deaf partners were asking me something, I was not really listening to them. In many occasions, Rita or Nikita or Daniel told me something, and I've just said, yeah, but you actually don't really understand. You need me to understand that. No, I will explain. No, it's much better how I do. I will be really, really lying if just once I had been right. Learn how to listen. Partners from different backgrounds. It's so difficult. It's really difficult. Yeah, even just between Kalin and I, which share a lot of cultural backgrounds, because we are international touring and we both know many, we have same kind of references, we need to make a big effort. But we are used to. Are we used to make big efforts listening deaf people? Are we prepared? Are we ready? Are we interested?
Виж колко красива гора има с хубави дървета. Виждам, че сега се стъмнява нещо, дърветата се сгърбват. Може ли да го покажеш това, как би изглеждало на поезия, на жестова поезия? Я ми покажи. На поезия? Добре, сега ще покажа. Вау! Направо настръхнах, браво е! Добре. Ами сега, я ми покажи как, аз го направих на поезия, я ми покажи как ви изглежда визуален жестов език. Я ми покажи. Да бе, да, добре, добре. Айде, сега ти го покажа ли? Да бе, да, покажи ми както аз ти го показах. Добре. Какво мислиш? Интересно. Ами, поезията, визуалния жестов език, има ли разлики? Да, има и по някакъв начин са еднакви, чуде се. Ами като за начало, историята започва по един начин, обаче свършва по друг. Какво имаш предвид? Обясни ми да е. Да, гледам те. Това, което си направи, поезията започва, нали, то е по-общо, разказваш и рисуваш картината. Докато аз влизам в героите, изразявам как се действат. Да, аз виж това, което виждаме, че визуалният жестов език е все едно влизаш в самите обекти и предмети, докато аз излизам от тях и давам една по-обща картина. Разбираш ли? Аха. Моето е по-мелодично, по-музикално. Да, като музика е.
Жестовия език започва откъде? От ръцете. А какво може да се прави с тях? Какво трябва да си помислите, че може да се прави? Може да се комуникира? Какво може да се работи с тях? С тях може да живееш? Всичко можеш да направиш с ръцете си. Комуникираш, работиш и да живееш. По същия начин е връзката с изкуството. И работата ни с изкуството е именно с ръцете, с жестовия език. Вие знаете, че има жестов език. Той си по-важни са ръцете, жестовете. Но какво са жестовете всъщност? Ако искаш, може да поясниш. Ето, вижте. Дума има звук. А ръцете също имат някакъв звук, движение. Има 4 параметъра. Има форма. Първият параметър е форма. Виждате 5. Има 5 изпънати пръсти. Също пространство. Виж, че едва се стана в неутрална позиция. Третото, координация, посока. Виждате, че посоката е към вас. Не е към мен, а посоката е към вас. И ако се обърне, това означава, че е за мен този жест. Ако се обърне, и това четвъртия параметър е движение. Така в момента е статично. Това същото е... Това дава някакси движение, контекст. Как един жест извървява пътя от А до Б. Ето виждате, има и един допълнителен пети елемент. Това са физиономите на лицето. И сега е студено и виждате си физиономията му, как, нали, е застинала, дървото е замръзнало, студено е. А нали беше преди, си беше такава нормална температура и така. Много вали сняг, примерно, и така се движи. Жестови език може да дадеш по различен начин различна информация с една форма. Също така и с гласа. Примерно кажете здравей, нали, чао на италиански. Или чао, нали, с интонацията. Това е много различно. Примерно кажеш чао. Има много голяма разлика, която и интонацията дава като допълнителна информация и която разширява разбирането на общуването. Това е толкова простичко, може да видите, примерно, как човек може да изрази емоциите си. Нещо е твърдо, с много напън, с много грубо и по същия начин жестови език. Нещо така с много напън и го виждате тук как става. Когато е нещо меко, леко, минава с лекота, Това е нещо еуфорично, весело, има енергия. Той е нагоре-надолу, нагоре-надолу на вълнички. Ще дам още един пример. За различните емоции. Вижте как върви, вижте и в начина в походка. Нали? Мисля да направим заедно малко упражнение. Какво означава визуален жестов език? Ще бъде интересно. Искате ли? Развълнувани ли сте? Окей. Сега мисля да взема лист хартия и фломастер и ще ви раздам на всички вас. Темата каква ще бъде? Как на сцената може да се разказва на жестов език? Някакви истории, откъде идват някакви истории и как моята идентичност може да се използва за изкуство. Всеки има различен вкус и различен начин да изрази идеите си. Това е хубаво, че всеки има различни неща и да видим заедно как ще го направим.
Здравейте, сега ще ви покажа какво визуален жестов език и какво представлява. Здравейте, аз съм Никита и сега съм тук, за да ви покажа какво? Поезия. Жестова поезия.
Some practical issues might be, for example, are we sure that the language is accessible? So subtitles and sign language always present. This is easy. But also the content. For example, if I'm just imagining, like, I mean, just to make a laugh altogether, I've been proposed for our festival often a show about lip-syncing Madonna. Deaf people do not laugh for lip-syncing Madonna. It's not something that is interesting for them. And just to understand that it's not just that you translate stuff, but you also need to understand if it suits to their culture, to their experience of life, to their cultural background. They barely know who's Madonna. I mean, someone can know, but they don't refer to her songs like we do. It's a different experience of life. Another, and I mean, just acknowledge that is a huge step. Another, for example, quick tip is accessibility needs time. If you just are in a hurry, you will not be accessible. If you have short money, you will not be accessible. Of course, if you have short money and you want to be accessible, let's just say to everybody, you know, I have this money, but I really would love to find a solution. Deaf people are finding solution every day for their access in the world. So ask them, instead of trying to find out yourself the solution, ask them. They know how to manage. And if they will not do it, you will understand something that it will be useful for the next time. Another quick tip, technical, might be what is needed. So often I am insisting we need to be on time on something, or maybe we need to deliver a result, and because I mean I've just the habit of do like that is how I work. But sometimes, yeah, but sometimes I've been told by my deaf colleagues and friends, are you really in a hurry for what? What is the success you will have? If you don't deliver something, but you will discover something else, yeah, you will be failing in delivering, but you will have something back in return. So sometimes hearing people, when we work, we are kind of obsessed in results, which is totally fine and it's totally normal. But sometimes in accessibility, results are not the point. The process is much more important and interesting, and you will have bigger results in a medium term if you just fail some short-term results.